Madame Blanchette-Lamotte, s'il vous plaît, pour 5 minutes.
Merci. Alors,
Thank you. My question will deal more specifically with old age security. Mr. Jackson, I'd like to put a question to you. I'd like to what you think of the consequences of the change to the old age security program. Who, in your opinion, will be suffering the most as a result of these changes? Because there are people who, as you said, will find it easier to adapt. Can you tell us which segments of the society will not be able to adapt as easily and will suffer more from poverty?
In terms of who's not very affected, I mean, certainly there are people who are, have good pension plans, who choose to retire at 65, may even choose to retire past 65. What they're going to lose from OAS is not hugely significant to them in terms of their income. The major concern is people at the lower end. I guess 1 in 3 of all people who are eligible for old age security also are eligible for some degree of supplementation from the guaranteed income supplement, not necessarily the maximum amount. So that's a pretty high percentage, and basically what that's telling you is that 30% of people entering that age group don't have a sufficient income from pensions and investments to add up to what I guess basically we have said is an adequate income level in retirement. And I guess as colleagues said earlier, I mean, it's not a particularly generous definition on the guaranteed income supplement. And I agree with my colleagues, certainly when you look at people in Toronto, Vancouver, where people are in high rental cost housing, it's
Jackson,
very...
je suis désolée, je dois vous interrompre pour pas répéter.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you so that we don't repeat what has been said. Women, for example, who take maternity leave more often, who are often required to absent themselves from their work, or workers who are unable to work for longer periods because they've had a work accident or because their work is very exhausting, are they more likely to suffer as a result of these changes made to the old age security program?
Well, I think the assumption of the government is that we're given adequate notice of this, that people will adjust by working longer or saving more conceivably. But in terms of who works longer, I mean, clearly there are, I mean, if you StatsCan surveys, when we're asked people age 65, why have you retired, about a quarter of people report that they took that retirement decision by reason of ill health or to care for another person. And certainly for women, caring for another person would likely be much more significant. So that's quite a significant chunk. When the CCPA put out a report on this, but when you look at people working past age 65, and more people are working past age 65, I mean, a very large chunk of those people are either working part-time, and, the proportion of older workers in areas like retail is growing, or they're in self-employment, so that they're not really earning very much income for a very significant subgroup. So, the most vulnerable are people who are in some financial, economic difficulties when when they're turning age 65 in that age group. And certainly there are older workers who have lost their jobs, stable employment well before that age, who have been victims of industrial restructuring and so on. Women are more dependent on OAS, GIS than men because they've typically built up less pensions income over the course of their lives, including CPP.
Okay, vous avez une minute.
Une minute, je vais essayer de faire rapidement.
I'll attempt to do it quickly. Old age security is not a pension, but we know that the private pensions or employee pension plans are calculated on the basis of OAS being obtained at the age of 65. Could you tell us something about what the impact this might have on private pensions that count on old age security in order to provide adequate compensation?
Some employer pension plans do provide a bridge to old age security for workers who retire on a company pension before age 65. I don't know the figures on how common that is, but it's not uncommon. So there will be some cost to employer pension plans of raising the age of eligibility for OAS. There's a lot of The vast majority of pension plans in Canada are integrated with the Canada Pension Plan, which means that they provide a defined benefit on top of what CPP provides. That's less often the case with OAS, but, I mean, there is that bridge provision there.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, I hope I answered the question.
Thank you.